What is keto flu? So let's talk about this common issue that happens to some people when they're first starting a ketogenic diet. So the keto flu is a kind of host of symptoms that occurs for some people when they first start a low carb or ketogenic diet. And it's just what it sounds like, flu-like symptoms. So feeling nauseous, dizzy, lethargic throughout the day, some of those things that happen when you get the flu. And that's the reason why people call it the keto flu. It can actually be avoided if you just pay attention to a few simple things. So the reason why the keto flu occurs is because when you start a ketogenic diet or a lower carb diet, your insulin levels lower, and that causes your kidneys to excrete water and sodium. And when you're excreting water, the sodium comes along with it. And so you basically deplete your system of electrolytes, specifically sodium, magnesium, and potassium. And so if you don't replenish the water and the electrolytes, you're gonna feel like crap and you're gonna have those kind of keto flu symptoms. So like I said, lethargic, nauseous, low energy. If you are working out, and you're not replenishing, your water and electrolytes, you're not gonna have a good workout. So there's few simple things that you can, pay attention to make sure that you are not going to experience the keto flu. So you might not be able to combat all of the symptoms of the keto flu, but there are definitely ways to minimize them. A few things that you can focus on. The first one is going to make sure that you're hydrating appropriately and just making sure that you're drinking enough water throughout the day. That's something that we all tend to forget about, and that's one of the biggest things that you can do to help make sure that you're not getting these keto flu symptoms. So just getting enough water throughout the day. Generally, I like to say the minimum of half your body weight in ounces per day is a good place to start. That should be kind of like your bare minimum intake. If you are working out a lot, if you're sweating a lot, if you live in an environment that is very hot and causes you to sweat more, then you're probably gonna need a little bit more water. So water is super important, but we can't just have water on its own. We have to really pay attention to the electrolytes as well. And so replenishing those electrolytes with that water is going to be the key, right? Not just the water, but the water and the electrolytes. So the main electrolyte that we wanna make sure that we're replenishing is actually sodium or salt. And this is something that some people tend to be a little bit scared to supplement with because, in the mainstream media, we tend to hear that too much sodium is bad for us or too much salt is bad for us, but that's not the case. Sodium is super, super important, especially if you are following a lower carb or ketogenic diet. You need to make sure that you're replenishing sodium. So simply making sure that you're just paying attention to adding salt to your food, starting your day off with, a large glass of water with a little bit of salt in it, maybe having some saltier foods throughout your day. So things like, pickles, bone broth with some salt in it. Those are some easy ways to get more sodium in throughout the day. You can supplement with sodium by just, like I said, just adding it to your food and actively doing that throughout the day. Also, if you are working out, you want to make sure that you're getting sodium before your workout as well. That's going to help with so many different benefits especially if you are lifting, which I'll go into in a different video if you want to check out that video. But salt is super, super important, and just simply making sure that you're salting your food throughout the day is going to be the biggest thing that you can do to avoid the keto flu symptoms. So the next electrolyte that I would make sure that you're replenishing is magnesium. So we can get trace amounts of magnesium from our food sources, specifically avocados, leafy greens, nuts and seeds, things like that, but it's going to be trace amounts. So, even if you are consuming a whole foods diet, if you are consuming a low carb ketogenic diet, it might be advantageous to think about supplementing magnesium. And one of the main reasons for this too is that our soil nowadays tends to be a little bit depleted of magnesium versus what it was like 100 years ago. So supplementing with magnesium can be very advantageous. I generally like to say between 300 to 400 milligrams of magnesium. And there's so many different forms of magnesium out there. So you want to make sure that you choose a form that your body is going to absorb best. And the the best absorbable forms that I personally recommend would be magnesium threonate, magnesium glycinate, and then magnesium citrate. You just want to be careful with magnesium citrate because it can also be a laxative. So that can be a good or bad thing depending on where you're at, but just be careful with that. I tend to go with glycinate and threonate. You also would probably want to avoid magnesium oxide. That's going to be the form that's least absorbable for your body. And yeah, those would be probably the main ones that I would focus on. Another form of magnesium you can get through Epsom salt. So if you're taking like an Epsom salt bath, you can actually absorb magnesium through your skin. That's going to be a little bit less than taking it via supplement, but you'll still get some active magnesium through there. So that's what I recommend in terms of magnesium supplementation, about 300 to 400 milligrams of glycinate, L-threonate, threonate, or a citrate. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to learn more about nutrition, fitness, or metabolic flexibility, you can check out our website, metflexlife.com. There you can find our podcast, MetFlex and Chill, our nutrition and exercise programs, our latest blog posts, free recipes, and much more.